maybe we'll just frame it this way. Now that the film's done, what would be the ideal scenario for this film? What kind of impact do you hope the film can make?
I think I'm with L, like L.
Hmm.
That I want more Native representation out there. I want people to know that we exist,
Yeah.
and to know that Indigenous people are, that they deal with hard things, but they also deal with it in ways that are clever and um, funny, that they want to solve problems in their ways. Um, and so, we just haven't seen that. We just don't see enough of that.
Mm.
And so, the stuff that I'm working on now is about that too. It's about, what are people on Yurok lands doing in terms of continuing to care for land and to bring their knowledge of land keeping back, and
Hmm.
to what can they do to share that with the rest of the world. I
Yeah.
think that again, not about, there is trauma there, there's hard things, but there's also, smart things and beautiful things. And um I want to be able to share that balance,
Hmm.
and to be able to show Indigenous people as whole people
Yeah.
who are existing now in the nowadays,
Yeah.
and not just in the past,
Hmm.
and who are existing in their wholeness.
And I mean, it's if anyone would ever expect anything less from another human, what we want them to be, or how we want them to be seen, is just, it's absurd.
And it's too bad, because then we end up missing out, that if we say, well, I don't want to know your full indigeneity, or I don't want to know, I'll I don't, I don't want to know. I'll know you in your indigeneity, but I don't want to know you in sort of your, maybe your mixed background.
Hmm.
Like, oh, there's an Asian part of you too. Like, I don't want to know that part. Like, just talk to me about your indigenous part, and I not about your Asian part. Oh, but there's just this queer part too. Like, I don't want to know about that. Like,
Yeah. Too
that's too
much
too
now. Yeah.
complicated. Just like give me one part. But a person never comes to us as one part of themselves. They come,
Hmm.
they're, you don't get to drop off a part of yourself at the door. You come in your fullness, and we ought to be able to enjoy that about people.
Well, if anyone who is listening to this, thank you, and I hope that
Yes.
you can see the film and take what you will from it. I hope you enjoy it. I hope it makes you think more about uh, our indigenous brothers and sisters that we don't listen to enough.
Yeah. Think about whose land you're on. I think if everybody who saw it, like, thought about, you know, whose land do they occupy right now? Who are the young people, the indigenous young people around them? What are they up to right now? Just do a little thought experiment there. I think that would be good.
And it's a little bittersweet because the film is going to be premiering at Full Frame, which is a wonderful festival that we're very excited to be a part of. But it's the bittersweetness comes in thinking about how it's going to be a virtual event, and you typically kind of imagine a premiere can be like, something where you can be with other people and kind of celebrate the
Gather
film and
together.
gather, yeah, and see how people respond to these stories and how they
Right.
respond to Elle and Granite and Noah. And that's something I've been so excited for. And so, there's a tinge of sadness that it'll be something that people are going to be experiencing privately.
Right.
But at the same time, I'm just so grateful that it's actually like we're going to share the film. And what more could we really ask for?
Well, and I think even for Indigenous communities, for folks who are, you know, who wouldn't normally have access to
Yeah.
film festivals,
Mm-hmm.
this is a situation that allows access to a film festival that normally folks wouldn't have.
Exactly.
I hope in the future that film festivals are at least some sort of a hybrid situation where people can go and experience them in person, but that
Yeah.
that people can also experience them remotely, so
Yeah.
that if they are in a situation where getting there physically isn't really possible, that they still have some way of accessing
Yeah.
all these stories. We shouldn't just you know They should be limited by geography at this point,
We have
in
the we have the
we have the
technology.
technology.
Yes. Yeah, and I completely agree with that. I think it would be so wonderful for Elle and Granite and Noah to be able to go to a place though and see themselves celebrated.
Absolutely.
That's what I feel like is
Yes,
lost here.
I agree.
But it's almost made up for in the sense that their aunties and uncles and grandparents can watch it where they're at in their homes. So there's a bit of a balance there, a little give and take.
But there could have been both.
Could have been
There
both.
could have been both.
Yeah. And maybe there still will be.
They shouldn't have had to choose that one. They could have traveled and
Yeah.
felt that celebration, and their aunties and
Yes.
uncles and relations could have streamed it and
Later in the film's life, even perhaps.
and
There's a time for
had
it.
celebrations with them.
Yes. So Roni Jo, and I don't know much about your personal life or your family life, but I know you have children.
I do.
And they're a little older? They're 20s,
Yeah,
30s?
I have all my children are in their 30s.
Okay.
That's how you know I'm old.
Have they seen the film? What are their
No,
thoughts
they
on
haven't
this
seen the film.
Okay.
But they know. I keep telling them I'm a big time producer now, and they just roll their eyes. But they're very excited for me, but they do want to see, obviously they want to see it. My husband has sat through almost every time
Really?
I've watched,
Wow.
done my, viewing
Mhm.
to give feedback. He sat through with me. And he's a very quiet man. He doesn't really say much, but he's enjoyed it. And, so yeah, I'm excited to share it with them. Because I didn't know what the etiquette was. I didn't know like what I could share with people. So I've been keeping it on very like lockdown, like precious.
Uh-huh.
So, I didn't know. I haven't known what I could just, hand out to folks.
Yeah. We wouldn't have come after you or anything. I guess no one ever said, this is what you can and can't do. Yeah, I'm just curious how your families responded to your filmmaking now, this new chapter in your professional life. And I guess time will tell when they get to see this film and your other project, how they respond to all that.
Yeah, my family is very supportive of me. They're used to me doing sort of outlandish things. One time when I was when I was a math teacher, I came home one day and I said, I need all the labels off of our food because I was going to be doing some stuff with, needing to know like the ounces and the milliliters and so my kids and my husband were like, all right. So we were just like taking all like the labels off the beans and the tomatoes, and just like one kid had a Sharpie marker and just like was writing down like what was on the cans, and like nobody questioned it. We're just like, Mom needs all the food
This is
labels.
normal
This
life.
is what we're doing. So they know me to be that kind of person that just does, whatever weird stuff. And so,
So this isn't a stretch for their perception of you moving into producing films and
right. Like, oh, Mom is in a pride parade. Okay. Oh, Mom is getting her doctorate. All right. Like, just like all it's weird and normal all at the same time. That just is how it goes.
That's awesome.
But I feel, I don't, of course I don't know any of the technical stuff, and sometimes I feel kind of limited by that. Although more recently I've come to realize, oh, I just need to know people who know the technical stuff. That's what I need. I don't need to know it necessarily myself. And that has been really liberating, because I was thinking, oh, maybe I've got to go and take a bunch of classes. I've got to take I've got to like learn Photoshop, and I've got to learn how to edit things. But now I'm like, oh no, maybe I don't have to do that. I can. I need to know people who know those things. So
that is a very that is an excellent description of a producer. Knowing people who know the technical stuff and you guide them. Yeah, that's great.
Yeah. So it's been a lot of fun. I've just been having a very, very good time.
Great.
And I have my new thing is like, I'm only taking on things that are weird in this phase of my life as an older person. Like I'm just doing weird things. And I was talking to a woman just right before the pandemic hit, a friend of mine who is a transgender woman, and she said, we have to do a project together. And I said, absolutely. My only rule is it has to be weird. And she said, all right, well, we'll come up with something. I said, we will. If we come up with a weird thing, well, let's do it. So that's my rule for myself.
I'm glad our project was weird enough.
It was just weird enough. That's a wrap.
All good?
That's great. Yeah, no, this is great. That is a wrap. That's a wrap.